Everyone knew what was going to happen. Everyone on earth has talked about it. Welcome to the Good Old Football Podcast. No intro music this week. Music is for fun. This is not fun. This is misery. In drafting Joe Burrow, I mean everyone who had half a brain knew that drafting Joe Burrow with that offensive line was like buying a car with no brakes and acting surprised when you launch yourself into a tree. Everyone knew except for the Bengals brass. Idiots like me, if you go back and listen, and I'm far from the only one. Idiots like me and so many others were able to see, hey, these guys suck. The guys blocking up front, you know, the whole thing that keeps the defense away from the offense, not good. Not good, and everyone's known it for years. And the Bengals continue to ignore it. Now look, anyone can get hurt on any given play. We've certainly seen quarterbacks with good offensive linemen suffer ACL injuries, knee injuries. But Michael Jordan, the left guard for the Cincinnati Bengals, is a professional football player who got mauled on the play that ended up getting Joe Burrow's knee destroyed, had no business being on the field. And I don't blame Michael Jordan. I don't blame him one bit. Of course he's going to take the starting job of an offensive guard in the NFL. I don't blame MJ. I blame the team that knew he was their starter all offseason and thought, yeah, this is fine. Same reason I wouldn't blame a 6-year-old for crashing the car when his parents saw him walk out the door with the keys. I don't blame him. I blame the team that put this offensive line out there. By the way, Pro Football Focus rated Michael Jordan a 23.5 on Sunday for his performance. The average is 60. All right? Some nerds who run a football website, they can figure it out. The people who are from one of the most storied and famous football families of all time just been crashing and burning for 30 years now. They can't figure it out. They just let it keep happening. I remember Carson Palmer's knee injury in 2005. People forget that there was talk back then that could have been career-ending. He was not the same for about 2 years. And I know medicine has advanced, but the Bengals' failure to do the one thing they needed to do in the offseason, I mean, certainly cost them this year. Obviously, I mean, this year was down the tubes anyways, but who knows? You would have liked to have seen Joe Burrow finish strong with the team, get 5 or 6 wins. I don't know that they're going to win another game. And certainly part of next year. I mean, he's going to miss so much value. We see so many quarterbacks in recent memory take that sophomore year and really turn it into something special. And maybe Joe Burrow still does that, but hard to believe that when he's not going to have the offseason to be working out with his teammates. Because, you know, his franchise is too incompetent to put an offensive line in front of him. It's just, and if I'm Joe Burrow, and look, if Joe Burrow doesn't recover from this injury, if he does not recover fully, he's going to recover. If he doesn't, if we can tell in a year or two, like, hey, this is still an issue and he never reaches his potential, you will lose a large portion of the Bengals fan base, myself included. I will treat you like the cheating ex-wife I have never had. I will talk bad things about you. I will tell people how terrible our years together were, because at this point, if you can't win with this guy, if you can't figure him out, what am I hanging on for? That's what my dad talked about. My dad did not watch the game on Sunday. He was listening on the radio. He was actually traveling to New York to see me, and I told him, I said, well, if you drive during this window, you're going to miss the game. And he said to me, he said, I'm done planning my Sunday. This was before Joe Burrow got hurt. He said, I'm done planning my Sundays around the Bengals. My dad's been a Bengals fan his entire life. He spent his entire adulthood not watching them win a playoff game. I mean, he was in his 20s the last time the Bengals won a playoff game. I'm in my 30s. I'm in his son. You do the math. I'm 31. When I say I'm in my 30s, it sounds like I'm 34. I just don't know how you can expect. And Bengals fans, I saw, Joe Reedy on Twitter, who used to write for the Cincinnati Enquirer and cover the Bengals, was fairly, criticizing the Bengals for their lack of investment in the offensive line, and people were coming at him. You're a crappy fan if you're one of those people who thinks that whatever the team does, that's right, that's my team. You're a douchebag and you're a loser, because if you promote this, then you're part of the problem. If you keep buying tickets and just have blind faith in the team, you are part of the problem. You are one of Mike Brown's tentacles. Get it together. This is as mad as I've ever been at this franchise. And I know I joke a lot on here. This is straight negligence. And someone now suffering, it's sports, people get hurt, but Joe Burrow has suffered a serious injury. This is possible. This could cost him millions of dollars if it takes him some time to bounce back. I don't know. These are all theoretical, but when every single jackass on Twitter realizes you need an upgraded offensive line, every idiot out there, and you still trot Bobby Hart out there, who universally sucks. You bring out Alex Redmond, who was so bad you already cut him once this year. Let's start him in week 5, though. You trot out Fred Johnson, who was on the Steelers practice squad last year, and then Michael Jordan, a 4th-round pick from a couple years ago, who wouldn't be a bad backup, wouldn't be a bad guy to have there, but let's start him all year. And you know why you have to do that? Because you missed so terribly on the offensive lineman you drafted in the first round in 2015 and 2018 that your only choice is a 4th-round pick who hasn't really shown anything deserving of being a starter in the NFL to this point. Solid backup. He was having a bad day. He's had a bad couple weeks. First month or so wasn't bad. Shouldn't be out there every week to begin with. And if the Bengals, I said this on Monday, if the Bengals do not make it a clear priority this offseason to go out and upgrade the offensive line, Joe Burrow has every right to pull a Carson Palmer. And I defended the Bengals like hell this offseason when Mike Florio and Dan Patrick I love, but man, he went way overboard with the, well, is Joe Burrow going to stay away from Cincinnati thing? Because there was nothing there. There was nothing behind it. And I get that it's a talking point, but it almost seemed like to a point DP was kind of going out there and saying, here, Joe, here's what I think. Again, Dan Patrick, one of the all-time greats. Respect the hell out of him. But that stuff got annoying, and I backed the Bengals up at that point. I don't know that I can do that anymore. When we all knew it was coming except for the Bengals brass, and they let it happen anyway. If they don't go out and spend big money and spend 3 or 4 draft picks on the offensive line, then I do not know how Joe Burrow can sit there and say, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. I've busted my butt and overcome so many hurdles to get to this point. Yeah, let me throw it all away now that I'm at the highest level of the game. I do think this is the most embarrassing moment in Bengals history. And that's saying something. This is a team that had 14 straight non-winning seasons back in the 90s. And then you luck into an amazing quarterback from your home state that gets a whole corner of the state to be a fan of yours. And you put him on a boat with holes in the floor. And you tell him, you should be fine. We think you'll be good. We think you'll be all right. And look, sports are weird. It's the only place you can run a failing business and continue to exist. Carson Palmer should have won playoff games in Cincinnati, but he got tired of the nonsense and left. Carson Palmer, people forget, he was an elite can't-miss guy too, the number 1 pick in 2002, 2003, one of those years. It was before the NFL product was so in your face 24/7, so maybe it didn't get the same hype back then than it would now. But he was a guy, not quite what we saw with Andrew Luck in 2012, but close to it, where everyone was like, oh yeah, this is the guy, no doubt. And they had the same thing with Joe Burrow this year, and I mean, can you blame Bengals fans for feeling that? No, you can't. No one with a reasonable mind can feel that way. The Cincinnati Bengals, by the way, according to Forbes, are worth $2 billion. And that is the lowest in the NFL, but still, it's a $2 billion business. And the people they have in charge there cannot figure out how to run a successful business for 30 years running. And again, given the golden ticket this year, left it laying out in the rain. Stuffed it in a cardboard box and put it in the attic with the rats. I do. I think it's the most embarrassing moment when every blogger and dork in the world says, hey, you guys should probably do this, and you don't do it, and it ruins your season and injures maybe the most promising star you've ever had. That's the most embarrassing possible thing I can imagine if you were an NFL franchise. Look, if Joe Burrow now, and I said this before, if he ends up getting beat up the way Andrew Luck did, and why shouldn't we believe that? What evidence do we have that the Bengals won't screw this up? If they do that to him, they deserve to lose every fan they've ever had. Because what's the point? If you can't figure it out with this guy, who are you going to figure it out with? Tom Brady going to be 24 again and sign with the Bengals? Just one of the most I don't know what else to say. That's the other thing. There's nothing to figure out here. It's right there on the surface. I don't know if it's ignorance, if it's stupidity. I don't know what it is. Negligence, certainly. It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen out of the Bengals. And I have seen some embarrassing things out of the Bengals. Cleveland Browns, once again, did not do the Cleveland Browns-like thing. It would have been easy for them to lose that one to the Philadelphia Eagles, similar to other NFC East games this year. By the way, they're doing the opposite of what the Bengals have done this year. Really, the two teams both are too close for comfort, except the Browns end up winning these games, and the Bengals pee down their leg. Browns know how to close them out. Bengals, they're not going to be close anymore. They might struggle to score 10 points in a game again this year, but my God, were they close there for a while. It's amazing what you can do when you have an amazing quarterback. And it's amazing how bad you can screw things up when you're a complete bunch of idiots. The Cleveland Browns, anyways, look, I've said this before. I said this about them when they played Washington. It happened again with Philadelphia. And for me, it's the most promising thing with Cleveland. They are, in the games that this team would normally blow, they are finding ways to win. And it doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to be a W in a win column, and especially in that tight wild card race, they are figuring out ways week after week. If Kevin Stefanski, he's got to be named Coach of the Year. If not, we should riot. Good old-fashioned Cleveland, we probably shouldn't riot. You used to be able to joke about rioting, and then people took it too far like everything else in this country. Browns get the Jaguars this week. It'd be nice to see them come out and lay the wood on someone for once. That is one thing. And look, there's not a lot of blowouts in the NFL, but it'd be nice to see them come out and say, hey, we're a significantly better team. We're going to punch you in the throat repeatedly. In fairness to Cleveland, they have played in a monsoon for about a month straight. And Browns fans, you guys have been good this year too. I figured at 7-3, you guys would be walking with your shoulders a little higher. You guys are being very, very reasonable in your success, and I appreciate that. Now, if you want a playoff game, who knows what happens? Maybe you get a little cocky. I don't blame you. By the way, I brought this up before. I tweeted this out on Monday. Bengals, Lions, Browns, Bills are the only four franchises that have gone more than 20 seasons without a playoff win. Browns and Bills could easily, I don't know about easily, Bills certainly, but both those two teams that feel like will end that drought in the next couple of years, maybe 3 years. Certainly the Bills. I mean, it'd be crazy if the Bills didn't, right? And then it's just going to be the Bengals and the Lions sitting there like a couple of losers. So good on Cleveland. I mean, 7-3, that's incredible for them. I mean, they're going to win 9 games this year. And to have a first-year head coach, and again, that's a franchise that always seems to not figure it out. And I don't know how long it'll last, so enjoy it while you can. But it's good to, and look, I don't like the Browns, but it's good to see them. Good to see them. I like rooting for the underdog. Steelers and Ravens will play on Thursday night. We know what that's going to be. Well, we do and we don't. It's going to come down. It'll be in my bets. You know where I'm going with that. Look, I want the Steelers to win because that helps the Browns. And again, I want to see the Browns in the playoffs. I like seeing teams that you never get to see in the playoffs. A lot of my best friends are Browns fans. It'll be fun. So it's kind of weird wanting the Steelers to win. And then you want the Ravens to get knocked down too, man. That's the great thing about this league. I mean, you had people out there saying that, the Ravens were this, the Ravens were that. Colin Cowherd, my guy, picked them to go 16-0, which is just an absurd thing to do. But good on you, taking a swing. Other than that, I hope Wolves are released on the field in the third quarter and no one wins. I am kidding. The game might not happen, by the way. Some J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram. It's a Thursday night, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Pilgrim's Day. Whatever you guys do for your holiday, stay away from each other. Anyways, I really got sidetracked with that one. It's nice to, try to be funny again after the misery I opened with. Steelers and Ravens, it'll be fun. Let's get to the picks because I rambled on about the Bengals forever. 1-2 last week after a few 3-0 weeks. A little bit rough. Look, I'm 21-11 on the season now. I'm so proud of that. Betting against Vegas. I'm not sure if I want to bet against the Raiders now because one of my picks was the Chiefs -7. And the Raiders, Vegas, they live with them now. They're sharing apartment complexes with the odds makers. Those guys aren't going to miss on the Raiders anymore. They know everything about them. Oh, and by the way, I bet New England -2.5. That was my other pick I lost last week. The one I won was the Titans +6. I bet the Pats -2.5, and I deserve to lose that because Bill Belichick is an absolute fraud. You had a losing record before Brady. You had a losing record since Brady. You can't beat Romeo Crennel in a game that could have kept you on that playoff bubble with a chance to control your own destiny. But yeah, keep telling me he's the greatest of all time. It's undisputed. It's not even up for debate. Get out. Get out. He's done nothing without the greatest quarterback of all time. Funny how that works. I'm the undisputed best firefighter of all time. Oh, by the way, I live in Antarctica. Get out of here. I'm done with Bill Belichick. You can't even beat Romeo Crennel to save your season. My goodness. This week, I like the Titans again, +4 at the Indianapolis Colts. This is one of those ones you give me 3.5 points either way. I'm going to take it. Titans are amped up. By the way, Mike Vrabel, I want to see you beat the living tar out of John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, the biggest baby in the sport and has been for a while. Just his whole, I'm not going to shake your hand thing. Oh, I got beaten overtime. What a freaking wimp. Grow up, dude. Just an old lady-looking crybaby. John Harbaugh. Get out of here. By the way, you ever remember Mike Vrabel being a great defensive coordinator? No? Me neither. He was good. I'm getting sick of all this X's and O's getting you a head coaching job thing. You need to be good at that. But they liked Mike Vrabel. Same reason Rex Ryan worked for a while with the Jets. They liked Rex Ryan. Same reason Mike Zimmer worked for a while. Guys like him. He's real. He's honest. I don't know. Bills -5.5 at home versus the Chargers. I'm just going to keep betting against the Chargers. Bills are a Super Bowl contender. Chargers have 3 wins against the Bengals, Jaguars, and Jets. Top 3 teams in the draft order right now. I mean, they're going to win by more than a touchdown at home. Bills -5.5 versus the Chargers. And talking about that Thanksgiving Day game, Thanksgiving night, hopefully it happens then. Either way, I'm going to take Baltimore +4.5 at Pittsburgh. In this rivalry, if you're giving me 3.5 points either way, I'm taking it every single time. So that's what I like. Titans +4 at the Colts. The Bills -5.5 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Baltimore Birds +4.5 at the Pittsburgh Steelers in Heinz Field. Football season's ruined for me. I didn't even want to do the picks this week. I almost didn't do them. But I do it for you guys, and because I'm got nothing better to do. So I am recording this in a car. Shout out to my boy Walter here with me. It's good to be hanging out with someone during the podcast. And Walter does not want to say anything, but that's fine. So yeah, those are my picks. Those are my rants. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, Titans +4, Bills -5.5, Ravens +4.5. And the Cincinnati Bengals and the Brown family, you're really grinding a lot of gears out there. I know that you don't listen to this, but my goodness. Maybe you should get Twitter. Maybe you should listen to the Twitter trolls because nothing else works. I mean, again, everyone knew it but you. Everyone knew it but you. You could have been a second-grade peewee football coach with one eye, and you would have been able to say, hey, that NFL team, offensive line's the issue. And you could have never watched a game in your life. I actually talked to someone earlier this year who watched that Bengals-Browns Thursday night game who doesn't watch the NFL all that much. And they told me, yeah, it was fun to watch. The offensive line, though, you got to fix that. Yep. Someone I know who maybe watches 3 NFL games a year, and one of them's the Super Bowl. They could figure it out, but the folks in Cincinnati sure can't.